This episode of Local Film Talk was recorded in the Green Room at Natty Green's in downtown Raleigh. Perfect for business meetings or just joining friends to watch the big game, the Green Room is the ideal place to host your next event. To learn more, contact David Crack at 919-232-2477 or email david at nattygreens.com. Welcome everyone to another episode of Local Film Talk. We're here at 106 Main in Durham, and we're talking to Eryk Pruitt and Meredith Sause. I got it right.
You did.
And we are talking about Eryk's directorial debut, Liyana on Command. Well, first off, this is the first thing you did after working on Disengaged, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, where did this come from? What was your inspiration? What kind of stuff did you want to explore?
I originally wrote it as a short story called Liyana on Command. I was part of a writer's group, put it in there. I figured I'd had a lot of luck getting some stories published, so I thought for sure this one would be snatched right up. I really liked it. I liked the story.
Mm-hmm.
The story, by the way, is about a couple who takes their problems to an unconventional counselor who has an agenda all her own, and kind of the inspiration there, or like the, you know how like you're dating somebody and you break up with them for maybe like a week or so, or your significant other says, "Hey, I'm gonna go on a vacation, like to Thailand or something," or you know, or you break up, but like 2 weeks later you get back together, and all of a sudden, you know, like the sex is different. It's good, you know, but it's different, and you're enjoying it for a little bit, and then after a while you're like, wait a second, what did you do in Thailand? You know, what have you been doing while we were broken up the last 2 weeks? I mean, I like it, don't get me wrong. Well, what did you do? You know, kind of like that. That's a little area we were exploring there. And I sent it out, and I think it's probably been rejected like 30 times.
Really?
Yeah, I know, people don't get it. But if I read it, like I read it aloud in my writers group, I read it to Meredith, I read it to people. If I read it, everybody gets it, everybody laughs. The result at the end, you know, the ending sentence, I got exactly what I wanted. But if I hand you the paper and you look at it, you don't. So I realized right away that means I need to be in control of how people receive this story, because I can't just go over to everybody's house and read it. I will, but I can't.
Reading engagements.
Exactly. Yeah. So I knew right then I needed to be in control of how people got this information.
Now, is that the first time that it happened to you, that you wrote something? And I mean, I know a lot of times when you're working on something, like whether it's a movie idea or a story or whatever, you kind of have an image in your head and you're like, no, you're doing it wrong. It's got to be like this. You know, is that the first time you wrote a story and you're just like, people aren't getting the voice I want for this? Or
I think it's the time that's the most blatant. It's most in my face. You know,
because normally when you have a problem like that, that means there's something wrong with the story and you need to go back and redo it. But there was something about this one that you knew the story was right. You just needed to be able to go ahead and make it.
I know that the way I saw it in my head and the way I was presenting it when I read it, I was getting the reaction I wanted. And when other people were reading it, it wasn't happening. And like when I read it to her, I remember at the end, her reaction, it's what I wanted. It was the perfect reaction. So that's why I knew that, like, when we were putting together the team to make it, I'd have to holler at her.
She already got it.
Yeah.
So from the time you got the screenplay and you got it ready for shooting, were there a lot of changes from the original story?
Nope. There are montage sequences in there, and one thing that was a lot of fun, you know, I gotta say it early that, you know, my conciliary on this whole project was Nick Carner, who starred in Foodie, who was in Disengaged. We've done
I'm
a
going
lot
to play
of
the Nick Carner drinking game with Eryk.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, 6 degree. Every time we mention Nick Carner's name, we're gonna take a drink.
Yep.
But he read the script. He liked it. He's like, hey, let's do this together. I wanted to work with him again since Foodie. He's a great filmmaker all his own.
I've never seen him as a DP before. He was your DP?
Yeah, well, see, the great thing about him is he's a shooter, he's an actor, he's an editor, he's been a director. He's done everything. So if you work with this guy, you get that expertise. You know, you get that head. When he's shooting something, he's thinking about the editing room. He's also thinking about the actor because he's been an actor. If you look on IMDb, he's got like 50 credits as an actor.
Oh,
He's in
jeez.
everything. So you get like this built-in studio inside a man's head working for you, which is why I think it worked out as well as it did. So we talked with him, and we didn't so much storyboard as, if you look at our script, it says right here, extreme close-up. Then we back out to medium close-up. And we had it.
Just really thorough notes on the page.
And what we got was exactly how we shot it. And then he said, I'm going to go home and do a rough. 2 days later, he gave me the rough, and man, that's basically what you see.
Oh, wow.
We kind of tweaked with the last shot a little bit on the timing there. We tweaked a couple of things here and there, but that's basically what you see because, you sit down with Nick, you get like this savant-like approach to filmmaking that is, hopefully you'll see and agree with me that it worked out great with the film.
Now, how did you end up in the director's chair? Was that part of your, I know how this needs to come across, I know how these lines need to be said, so I need to be in control? Or did you try to get a director and at some point realize that you were going to have to do this yourself?
We kind of kicked the ball around a little bit. I think we even discussed, Meredith taking it over, Nick taking it. What it basically came down to was, I've got Nick, who in my opinion is the best, one of the best options as cinematographer. I've got Meredith Sause and Tracy Coppage, who I've worked with both of them on nearly everything, and Jeffrey Moore, who I've been dying to work with. The guy is hilarious.
He's fun.
I've got these 3 great actors. So since they're going to be doing a majority of the heavy lifting, why don't I just take the director's job and have them make me look good? It was one of the worst things for a guy's first directing project because it convinces you that a director doesn't have to do anything except hang out at the craft table and eat snacks because they did like everything and made it look good. It's
but having that support team is amazing.
Yeah, and they were doing things with the characters that since they are professional and seasoned, that they would take some explorations with these characters that I may not have seen. Like if you see Tracy Coppage's performance, that
was all her.
Oh yeah. I try to take credit for it, but funny story. Just on the side, Tracy emailed me one time and she said, "What do you think if I play April, kind of mousy? Her character April, so kind of mousy." And we'd already kind of had some discussions because
Just real quick, what was the character originally?
I just kind of pictured her as a suburban housewife, and Tracy had already kind of complained because in Disengaged she's missing half her face. There's a couple, and she said, I'd like to be pretty. How come I never get to be pretty? My face is rotting off and Disengaged and etc. So when she said I should play her mousy, I wrote her back almost completely. No, we're gonna play her pretty, so that way you can play a pretty character. Then later, I'm talking to my spirit animal. I'm having a couple drinks. I get this great idea, and I email her right away. I like, Tracy, I've got a great idea. We need to play April Mousy. And she's constantly professional, so she says, Eryk, that's a great idea. I'm glad you came up with it.
What a pro.
Yeah. We get halfway through shooting, and then she finally tells me, she goes, Eryk, I just got to point this out. I originally told you to play this. You're absolutely right. I'm an idiot. So yeah, I try to take credit for it, but no, it was her.
You gave her the glasses.
I did give her the glasses.
Yeah.
Thank you. But no, when you're working with people like that, like this one here, needs to be pointed out, she won Best Actor at the Carborough Film Festival when we premiered it.
For Liyana.
For
Liyana.
Character Liyana.
Congratulations.
And Spin. There was another short I was in the Carborough Film Festival. It wasn't specified.
Directed by Piper Kessler
Yes.
and Monique Velasquez.
Okay.
But when you're working with those people, with people that are that good, then you just have to sit back and take credit for it.
That's the way to do it, definitely. So how? Let's go into some of the pre-production stuff. You already talked about the writing and everything. I think we had talked about the budget at one point. This didn't have a budget. Everybody just kind of volunteered for it.
We're doing a bigger project over this summer called The Hoodoo of Sweet Mama Rosa. Should be out by the summer of 2015 for festival. We raised the money on Kickstarter, and like I said, that was going to be my first time to direct a project.
Right.
pretty nervous about it. So that's kind of what we say. Hey, this is a smaller script. It's really easy. It's three actors. We were able to shoot it in one location. So let's do this so that way you don't feel so nervous. And so everyone was kind enough to chip in their talents in kind.
A lot of times that project, it's like I need something quick and small and fast, that I can do while I'm working on this bigger one, can turn into something really great.
So if you're asking about budget, we basically put the food down and everything else was donated. But if you were to take an in-kind donations, like the talent quality that was donated, then $250,000 fucking dollars, dude. The budget for this film was $250,000 because otherwise I'd never be able to afford for the
That's what's on the IMDb
and the
page.
camera work. $250,000.
Now, where did you shoot it?
Tracy Coppedge's house, which is the set of
the whole
Lorraine
thing,
show.
both April and Gregory's house, as well as Liyana's office.
They have a pretty big house to where, I think they've got like 3 living rooms, the kitchen. So we basically just moved from room to room and set it, did some set dressing for it. But
okay. They do a lot of shooting in that house.
yeah, yeah, they do.
April and Gregory's house, a lot darker than Liyana's office. How did you come to those kinds of decisions? Was that like one of those cooperation with Nick Carter things? Or
Not even a cooperation. It was 100% his eyeballs.
Okay.
So that's what we were saying. We had sound by Piper Kessler, best in the Southeast.
Speaking of which, I think you told me at one point that it was actually raining while you were
second
shooting
day.
Liyana's scenes.
Second day it was raining.
And can hardly tell.
That's Piper. So she got her on ears, Nick on eyes, and like I said, I'm hanging out at the craft table with the actors telling jokes. That's all Nick's idea. In fact, I have a friend of mine. He teaches art at Coastal Carolina. He's a graduate art professor, and he was talking about the color palette. He's like, "This is such a sophisticated color palette." And I was like, "What are you talking about, man? We just grabbed whatever clothes were around it."
No. It's like, yeah.
Nick showed me like what he's like. Dude, don't ever tell people that we didn't. He's like, "Look at what I did," and he showed me like how much work goes into it. I don't know anything. I was at the craft table, but no, that's all Nick. And he put out, and once he showed it to me, I was like, "Oh my god."
Well, that's a trick to really great lighting and cinematography, is making it look like a lot of work didn't go into it. When you see a movie like, your Batman and Robin, stuff like that, where it's like the red lights on this side of the face and the green's over here and the background's yellow and pink and everything. And, you can tell there's lights all over the place and it looks like a disco rave in a dark alley. That, like you said, that takes you out of it. But those movies where you're like, did you shoot this with all natural light? And it's like, no, actually we had 20 different lights. We just did it really well. That's the really good cinematography. So. And
again,
Nick,
where the bonus. That's where the bonus
Oh,
is for working with
Nick Carter.
is he just makes it so effortless, look so effortless.
Drink, man. One thing I thought of, you got a really effective opening. How did you come up with that? Was that something you had from the beginning? Was that a collaboration thing with Nick? Did you think of that for shooting? Is that something that he came up with in editing? How did you come up with that, and what was your thought behind that?
Pretty much the shot selection you see, he and I discussed at length. Like we had the initial discussion, we were going to open in tight, and then bring everybody out so that way. It's one thing I like to explore in storytelling, fiction and film, is like give somebody something and then show them that what you're looking at isn't really what is going on.
Right.
Sort of like you get in real close and then you back up and see that, hey, there's more to this. Peel the onion.
Right.
And so that's something we had decided just in talking. Like I told him that's what I'm interested in, and as we talked, we said this is the way that we should do it. Come in. And then every time we back out, I think we talked, there is one shot that says, oh, but guess what? There's a whole other person involved here.
Right. There's like halfway through that first scene, I don't think it's too big of a spoiler.
Yeah.
But there, it's revealed, at first you think there's just 2 people in the room, and then suddenly you find out that there's actually 3. And what's really great about that, I was talking to you at one point, what's really great about that is that the way the first half of that scene is shot, you feel like you've seen the whole room. It's not like there's a lot of weird camera tricks that make it feel like you were going out of your way to hide something. Even the second time I went and saw the movie, the camera turns around and I'm like, I thought I'd already seen that wall, but you hadn't. And it's just, again, one of those things that's done so well you don't even realize it's happening.
But that actual shot, that was all Nick. Nick said, let's do that. But yeah, that was our plan. Come in close and then back out, and then you'll see by the end we start moving you right back in.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, we painstakingly planned that out. And then when we sat down, it really was just put the camera here to get that, the camera here to get that. When he edited it, he was able to just, so the pre-production part really helped.
Mm-hmm.
Planning helps.
So you're talking about your talented actors and actresses, and we got one right here who hasn't gotten to get a word in edgewise with our blabbering. Okay. But we already talked about how Tracy did so much in coming up with her character. What kind of stuff, Meredith, was all of Liyana on the page? Did you and Eryk have to come up with a lot of that?
Eryk came up with a backstory about kind of a therapist who may have gotten her degree online, who lived on the West Coast. What did you?
West Coast, touchy-feely,
yeah.
Hey, spirit. Moja.
Right, so, yeah. So, I kind of came to know her, not just from the page and what Eryk gave me, but also, like, picking out the costume pieces, mm-hmm. and putting on fingernails and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. She's got very long fingernails. And by the end, I was like, well, she's kind of a witch. She's witchy. So,
I definitely get that sense, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I went with, was mm-hmm. witchy.
And she has a very specific way of talking.
Right, I wanted her to be very laid back and calm,
mm-hmm.
and in control.
It reminds me a lot of the kind, like when you're going into surgery, like dental surgery, or the nurses or something, they're just telling you to calm down.
Right.
It's going to be
it's
okay.
Very hypnotic. It's
they're going to do something. I mean, obviously in the case of, surgery and hopefully in therapy, it's all helpful and everything, but somebody's calming you down, yeah. when something big's about to happen. And I definitely got that feeling from her. Of
right.
course, in her case, not necessarily all altruistic.
Well, you don't know, really.
You don't know?
I mean, from her perspective, it's definitely altruistic.
It's a really open-ended movie.
I really did have a lot of guys at the Carborough Film Festival ask where they could get that treatment, which is a plus if you ever wanted to branch out.
It's all right. Thanks, though.
Where did you find that therapist, and can I take her out for drinks?
Exactly.
Because that couldn't possibly end badly. Ironically, two of your movies, you got one where you have a very hypnotic therapist, and another movie where a guy ends up in a bathtub full of ice.
They all tie together.
I think not. So you shoot the whole thing. How long did it take?
It was 2 days.
2 days.
Mm-hmm.
All in 2 days.
We almost shot it. Chronologically, we had the first day was shot on the first day, the second day was shot on the second day, and then the montages in between. So
now the music that's in there, the version
yeah.
I saw yours is finished,
mm-hmm.
right?
It's in submission.
Is that all original music or stock?
It is original. It's all original. My roommate from college is Mike Rollin. He is a musician. There's a band that toured for a while called Sharks and Sailors, and he grew up, got a wife, got a kid, and was settling in. And he and I used to geek out on music, all through college. Stay up all night long talking. And I've always wanted, there's guys, we used to hang out and dream with when we were younger. And
mm-hmm.
I've always, part of that is I would like to work with, I would love to work with a guy that we used to sit up all night and say, hey, man, one day I want to make a movie. One day I'm going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So, called him up and just asked him, said, hey, man, have you ever thought about scoring a movie? I said, yeah, I've always wanted to, just never done it. I said, let's do it for him. Mm-hmm. So I showed him the film. I kind of showed him some of the things I was interested in. And then he just went home and just totally rocked my noodle. He sent me a thing and was like, what do you think about this? Love it. So he's working right now. We sit on Google Hangout for hours working on scoring the Hoodoo Sweet Mama Rosa right now. So I love it.
So it sounds like with Hoodoo, you're kind of hands-on. With Liyana, did he just come back with something and you said great, or did you have to have a lot of back and forth about that?
It's almost like with Nick. We just talked. I told him what I wanted. I told it, But I found with some folks, if you give the parameters and let them work in. I mean, you really get. I could, not being a musician, I could sit there and tell you over and over, hey, I want this note played here, this chord here, and the worst thing they could do is give me exactly what I want.
Right.
But not being a musician, to sit back and kind of let him do that. Not being an actor, to let them do the character and kind of bring something to it. I end up with something better than what I may have had in my head.
Right.
Like I was talking off camera before, that's how we met, was at the Foodie audition. She showed up for the second call, and everyone that had read this part, which was written for a man, they read it.
It was a guy's part.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was a bartender. His name was Teddy. He was a guy. He was supposed to be a hipster, wearing too tight pants and with little, hipster glasses, and it was going to be funny. This dude was going to be kind of goofy. And everybody that read for the part just wasn't feeling it, and they all read the lines the way I intended them. I wanted them to be like praising this one cook character in the film. And then she comes on and sits up there and she reads it differently. She's putting him down and she rolls her eyes on this one. Like, yeah, he's a genius. And it was so funny. Not at all what I intended, but it was 50 times better and funny. I was like, that's it. We got to rewrite this part for a woman so we can get her in there, because it was the best reading of it. And ever since then we've been pretty good friends.
Good choice.
I've found that if you kind of let the people do what they're good at, which I have no experience in, you're going to get something good. Like with Mike, with the music,
right.
I was kind of telling, hey, can you make something like this song? And it just went. And then when he went to his studio, just jammed something out and sent it to him. That is perfect. That is great.
Nice. So once you got it all shot, you get it into post. You got your music. You give it to Nick. Got anything interesting you learned in the editing process?
Not for that one. In fact, that was
this will be a short segment.
Yeah. Editing with Hoodoo is something completely different. I'm finding out how much of the movie is done in the editing room. With Nick, like I said, he just makes everything look so effortless. He was like, I'm going to cobble together a rough for you to look at, and then we'll work on it from there. He gave me the rough, and like I said, to make sure that the ending is not ambiguous, we really kind of need it, or as ambiguous, we needed to really work on the last shot. Just kind of milk it a little bit. There were little tweaks there that we did to kind of help guide the audience through. But other than that, his rough was, I'd love to come up with an exciting answer for that, but it's really like Nick just, hey, what do you think? I'm like,
so what did you learn in the editing process? Trust Nick.
Yeah.
Always trust Nick.
Shut up and let Nick.
Oh, no.
Shut up and let
Again.
Nick.
I'm going to pass on this
Okay.
one. You guys go for it.
Nick, you're going to get us drunk.
Well, what was something you learned first-time director? What did you learn about directing? I guess, like you said before, surround yourself with talented people. Any other surprises? Any other lessons you learned? Something you could pass on to people?
One thing I learned, and especially the Hoodoo process more than this, was that things start going really, really fast. And it's the one thing, when I'm looking
It'll
back.
take forever to get any momentum, and then when it kicks in, it's like going from first to fifth.
There were so many times, especially working on Hoodoo, that I'm like, I look back on it and I'm like, man, if I could have just got everything to slow down. It was moving so fast and I just didn't feel like I was in control. So that's one thing that I know that if I were ever to do it again, I would make sure that I have more of a control over the pace. It takes forever to set up the shot, but then all of a sudden, once things get going, I just kept wanting everything to slow down so I can make the right decision. Slow down just a little bit. And I think that the pace kind of was dictating me as opposed to the other way around. So that's one thing that, one lesson I would learn is to just keep it cool, take a deep breath. We'll get this shot. Let's just relax.
Nice. Well, it's January of 2015 right now, and Liyana is out on the festival circuit? Okay. Is there anywhere else people can see it, or what are your plans for getting it out there to people?
Well, it would probably be too late for this broadcast, but January 29th, we're doing a thing in Raleighwood. I know that when Hoodoo is ready, this was always kind of been, it's hard when you're working in the distribution part of it and the marketing part to really convince people to come out for, you know, a 12-minute short, pay an admission, or let's all go to Motoco and watch a 12-minute movie. So I noticed that it's better to like package a couple things.
Right.
So that's why the Hoodoo, it's a 30-minute thing on a DVD. Now, if you get the DVD, we'll have this film. And so I imagine that when the Hoodoo comes out, I'm going to try to pair it a lot so that people can make an evening out of it. Hopefully when Keepsake comes out, we can try to put it, you know, so that way we get you out not just for 20 minutes, but for, you know, 20 minutes plus 12, or 20 minutes plus 30.
Okay. So you got a website or anything you wanted to plug for it?
I do. Mine is ErykPruitt.com, ErykPruitt.com, and usually that's a one-stop shop.
Okay.
Of course, we're all over Facebook, the Twitter, etc. But
okay. Well, cool. Well, thank you guys for taking the time to talk about this. If anybody out there has a chance, go out and look for Liyana on Command. It's a great little short film. You can learn a lot watching it. And yeah, thanks for talking to us.